All right, so the last time we talked, you mentioned how the family was separated after your dad's death. So what happened next?
You mean where we lived?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a man snob is, or that's the way people talks about it, a man snob. And it was a part of Grandpa's property. Grandpa and Grandma had died. But before they died, they had left each one of their children 12 acres of land. The way that was wrote out, 12 acres more or less.
Mm-hmm. And can you explain, like, where Man's Knob is at? It's up on a mountain, right?
On top of the mountain. And the neighbors, truly, just pitched in and built. It was only a one-room house.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived for quite a while.
And can you explain how hard was it to get up there to that place?
To where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you's a good hand at walking or riding a wagon or a sled, it was easy. That was just about the only transportation they were up that mountain at that time.
Was it a gravel road or just a dirt road, or?
No, just a plain old dirt road.
There was no electricity, nothing up
no,
there, right?
People used oil lamps and had burned wood for heat.
So, how was life up there on that mountain?
Well, really, it was good because at that time, it's not like now, but it was at that time it was really good because there were no evil people around, and what you had was yours, and people shared. If they had something extra, they would share with anybody that was in need. That's whenever they first started what they call relief for people, just like women that had kids, and that was Mom. And she got a $10 check a month for us kids.
Granny, how long after that did you actually start getting commodities?
Oh, honey,
Were you still a kid?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
When Mom started getting commodities, yeah.
I know you said a big truck would come and you all would go down.
I have to go up that mountain. Down, I think, as far as I can remember, down to Sid Adkins' place was the first that I can remember that they first started giving out what they call commodities off of the...
Stuff like butter.
It was butter and cheese and dried milk.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'd have a few cans of stuff, sometimes not.
Now, you talked about seed. You said that that they would bring you seed. You didn't have to pay for seed back then, did you?
You mean
Seeds
you
to plant?
No, they did furnish bean seed and lettuce seed and potatoes, as well as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And can you talk about your school?
Yeah.
Went up to the 8th grade?
You went through the 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, the teachers were from down the river, and they had to stay room at somebody's house. and they were most every one of them was young women, and they stayed at. Well, we always called him Paul Jesse. He was an old Jesse Mance, is who it was, but we called him Paul Jesse. And him and his wife and daughter lived right out in below where the school was. And that's where they would stay. They'd come on Monday morning and stay till Friday evening, and then be gone till Monday again.
You said too that some kids actually would do the same thing. They'd come and they'd stay. Was there like a boarding school, you said?
Uh-huh,
They would come and stay and then go home at the end of the week?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you tried to go to high school, right?
Well, you had to go to Guyan Valley was the closest high school. They were.
And how far did you have to walk to meet the bus?
Well, I started high school, but I couldn't do it because we didn't have no transportation and to get back and forth at that time.
Do you know how long you had to walk to get to the bus and back?
Oh, took you about an hour,
About an hour's walk.
but we were happy when we got in that little house. Just one little room, and
You talked about how did you have a cow?
we raised one. One of my aunts had a cow that had this calf. She gave that calf to me,
Did she?
and we raised her and made a cow.
Yeah. Now, you said sometimes those cows would go dry, and
Uh-huh.
then you said people would give away their extra milk.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, but at that time there was nobody close enough for us for them to share anything like that, all except Uncle Everett's family, because they lived at Grandma and Grandpa's place, and we had to, like going to school or going to the store, anywhere, we had to pass their house to get out through the fields to get to our house.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, back then no refrigerator, so
Oh no! Uh-uh.
whatever you had to keep cool.
We'd take our milk and butter, put it in jars, and take it to the spring where we got water.
Hmm.
And it was cold enough that it'd keep that.
Cool. Hmm.
Yes, and you guys had a pretty big garden, so you helped with the gardening and all that.
Yes, we did. When we raised a garden, we had plenty to eat, but it took a while for us to get the garden stuff growed up.
Mm-hmm.